What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. I really personally like D.L. Hughley as a comedian. I also like D.L. Hughley's enthusiasm for the black community. Unfortunately, it's just in the wrong way. But I do respect the brother. I will never disrespect that brother. I love D.L. Hughley. I know he comes from a very similar environment to mine. We just disagree politically. But I do like him more than Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins is another story. And you guys know how I feel about Boyce. But nonetheless, Boyce Watkins had a little back and forth with D.L. Hughley the other day. He came to Twitter and he noticed that D.L. Hughley inboxes or DMs Boyce Watkins, says, you know, I can't effing stand you. Don't ever hit me again, the P word, okay? And then Boyce accepts the request. You're doing all this corny ish over Joe Biden. Please let go of his nuts, okay? And then Boyce Watkins retweets some of the messages again. Did D.L. Hughley just call me? Did D.L. just call me a D-head and a clown? But he's the comedian, so that's technically what clowns do for a living. Okay. Then he says, I never liked you and have no idea why you're a punk ass on my page, clown. Tell me, D-head, what a senator from the state of Delaware had the power to do. So I don't know if they're talking about the crime bill and all of that, but Boyce Watkins actually goes into more detail about the whole situation here.
So if you don't know the backstory, give me a yes if you saw any of the backstory. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen it. I shared this surprising message I got from D.L. where he was really, really, really angry with me. And I'll tell you, I'll give you all the whole story in terms of how it went down. And I promise you it has a bigger point. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than him. It's really about us and how we as a community are kind of taking these elections too seriously sometimes, getting into this crazy Crips and Bloods type stuff. So let me just start here. And normally I'm not a guy that would share like personal DMs, but I don't know that I just feel like it's necessary for this situation because I think that it makes a bigger point. So I got this message from my brother, Terrain. I don't have his last name. I think it's Terrain Walker. Terrain Walker, very smart black man. And he literally just asked me, he says something like, why is DL crashing out on you over that decrepit old man? And I said, and then you can see my response, which is in blue. And I said, he's crashing out on me. I didn't see that. And so Terrain, being the researcher that he is, he's a super smart guy. You should follow him on Twitter. If you like to follow smart black people and black people that really get it, I will follow Terrain. He's one of those guys. I hope I can bring him in here one day. And so he takes a screenshot of this stuff that DL was saying. And it says, I never liked you and have, I think he said, I have no idea. I'm going to fill in the blanks because I don't know if he was tweeting while drunk or what. I don't know what, because the grammar's all kind of up. But anyway, he says, I've never liked you and have no idea why you would bring your punk ass onto my page, clown. And at first I was like, well, maybe he's not talking to me. Maybe he's talking to somebody else because, you know, I'm not that important. He's D.L. Hughley. You got, you know, I only have about 190,000 Twitter followers. It's not bad, but he's got like 4 times that. He's got like 800,000, 700 and something. Why why would he be replying to me? I didn't get it. And now I'm literally right now, I kid you not, literally while I'm talking to you, I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, it says replying to Dr. Boyce Watkins. Okay, now I know it's me. Okay, so that kills the ambiguity. And then there's the other part where he says, tell me, dickhead, what a senator from the state of Delaware had the power to do. So I think that what surprised me was not that we disagreed. What surprised me was the amount of anger and vitriol with which he brought the disagreement. I mean, the amount of emotional energy.
So as we know, when we found out this information, the world went crazy.
President Biden has just announced that he is ending his re-election bid. Just moments ago, the president tweeted out, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision." There are still so many questions yet to be decided and so little time before those questions need to be figured out. So I want to go right away to our chief Washington correspondent, John Carl. John, we are just 100 days out from the November election. Pressure was building on the president to step aside. Now he is announcing that he has.
Rachel, it's an extraordinary moment in American history. This is the first time we have seen a sitting president bow out of re-election since Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1968.
Then Boyce Watkins puts up this hilarious tweet. Sometimes our heroes let us down. And that's Joe Biden. That's then D.L. Hughley holding him from behind. Give Boyce Watkins a round of applause because this is actually funny. I will give it to him. I want to also talk about this because I just don't know D.L. Hughley, who's been a lifelong Democrat, and I want to say this to the brother respectively. I understand why black people have an issue with the racial bigotry on the right. I get it. You have so many people telling black people pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They're not going to get any, they're talking about what you do and what you don't deserve, how it's your fault. Your community is this. You guys are all on welfare. I'm not saying that this comes from everybody on the right, but it comes enough to really make somebody pissed off, right? I get nobody wants to hear that. And this is the reason why the blacks all together don't want to deal with the Republicans at all. They don't even hear what they have to say because of those racial bigots. And I get it because it exists. You even have people who have prominent voices within the conservative ranks. Look at Candace Owens. You can't tell me that Donald Trump doesn't understand what Candace Owens is saying. You can't tell me that he doesn't know or he has not called her out on that, because he has not. Everybody knows that Candace Owens is a bigot. Candace Owens is a race baiter on her own community, or her alleged own community, because she's not really African American. And these guys sit there idly by as if that that blacks didn't have problems, or if we didn't have slavery, or if we didn't have those things. They act like, oh, none of that ever happened. It's a lot on the right. I get it. So if you don't want to support Trump, D.L. Hughley, I can understand that. But my question is this: how would you want to support somebody like Joe Biden, who has done so much to basically hate blacks in the way that he has? I don't want to hear that he was vice president with Barack Obama. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is why, how. Look at what Biden has done when we talk about the migrant crisis. Look at all of the suffering, literally, that African Americans have been dealing with just in that time frame. It is more than incredible. Like, you can't even believe this stuff. It is insane. The work that these guys have done, it is incredible. And for anybody to look at black cities, like D.L. Hughley, grew up in Los Angeles, the redlining, that wasn't done by Republicans for the most part. That was done by Democrats. A lot of the things that we have faced as far as Democratic policies is because of Democrats. Failing schools, failing communities, and then you guys continue to vote. And maybe that's because you're out of touch with the community because you've been rich for so long. You have money and it doesn't really affect you. That would have to be the reason, because we have to look at the majority of our group. If you're successful as a Republican or a Democrat, yeah, it's not really going to matter. But what about those policies to the people it does matter to? The person that has talent like you but can't get out, okay? And this is the issue that we have now. We don't really want to deal with it. And that's what my question is. Why don't people want to deal with the fact that the Democrats hurt the black community? Despite the fact that you are individually rich, you individually may benefit from your Democratic connections. Because they're rich billionaires, they may help you. What about the normal person? And D.L. Hughley can't answer that. He can't. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.